The teacher entered the classroom even though it was still early and it wasn't time to lecture, but the students arrived earlier than him. He heard the sounds of their conversation interspersed with the lecture on the Congress of Humanity, which some students recorded and played back. When the class hadn't started, he was still sipping hot tea and listening to the sounds of the previous lecture. Interspersed with conversations and a last speech, he suddenly heard a young student asking everyone,
"Why do Tulins have to transform into humans? Why do people have to tame the animals so that their souls can also incarnate as humans?"
He thought that was an excellent question for a young person. And then, he decided to take those two questions as the topic and content of today's lecture. When the class was full, he began his lecture.
In the last lesson, you learned about the origin of people through the Congress of Humanity. You even know the mission of humans in the human world. Perhaps from the time you listened to that lecture until today, you have felt pressured because you must go through all the sufferings and tribulations in countless lives. Because you must reform the yin and yang embryo, pressure becomes an energy filter to produce super energies. Besides those pressures, questions that need to be clarified will appear in your mind. That is obvious when you first learn the knowledge of the two truths. However, after you finish studying, you will not need to ask any questions because the understanding of everything already exists in you by the magic of the accurate information values in the knowledge of two truths. Hey you, I just saw an informational reaction in the soul and brain of a young student in our class. It is a wonderful reaction we must have because it will help us discover and understand everything, ourselves and the Tulin life form. The student asked, "Why do Tulins have to transform into humans? Why do people have to tame the animals so that their souls can also incarnate as humans?" These two questions relate to today's lesson you are learning now. That is, reacting information in the yin and yang embryo with information in the external environment. Informational reactions like this will help the intellectual nature of the Tulin to be revealed. When the information reaction has enough pressure and compression, it will help the Tulin to release toxins or compassion. Those are the initial successes on the human journey in the human world. And then you need to force those toxins out of your soul, and then you have to activate compassion in your soul being. That is called enlightenment. What did God do with the earth to create a practicing environment for people? Does anybody know?
Yes, Master. God used his magic and miracles to create the earth, the plants, and the animals. After that, the gathering of people took place.
Such understanding was proper when people still needed to develop science and technology. However, at this time, when people develop in terms of science and technology, they require explanations based on science and logic. Therefore, the answer must be logical, even though they know that science is just experiences and studies of simple matter. They can't see or study supermatter, which are souls in the human world and tooling life forms in the universe. Nalas Nalanda had to see so many Tulins disintegrate and annihilate by the energy of destruction. His pain was when he had to watch his children's death. He tried to teach the Tulins to ensure safety from the destructive energy storms in the universe. He even looked for methods to help the Tulins to cope and not perish when they were attacked by destructive energy. But all failed. Then he observed the life of the Tulin life form with his own life since his yin and yang energy embryo was formed in destructive energy. His energy embryo remained safe, growing into a giant energy sphere. After the explosion of that energy sphere occurred, he majestically appeared in the center as a mature Tulin. Then, he built the entire life of this universe. He reobserved all the information stored in his yin and yang embryo from when it was formed until before he created the practicing environment for all Tulins. He saw two things that set him apart from all other Tulins. First, the original yin and yang particles that created his yin and yang embryo, as well as that of the universe, were from the primordial green wave particle, while the yin and yang embryos of the Tulins and all things in the universe were copied and produced from his yin and yang embryos. Second, he was born in a harsh environment by the constant onslaught of destructive energy, but the process of his birth and growth was still safe. While Tulins are born and raised in an ideal environment, they do not face birth and death right from the birth of yin and yang embryos. Those two significant differences cause the tuolins to decay when moving into the space of the destructive energy or to be attacked in large numbers by the destructive energy. In contrast, he was formed from an embryo of the most wonderful yin and yang energy in and out of the universe, from the past to the future. That shows that he is unique and the only one. His yin and yang embryo can absorb and transform destructive energy into the 5 energy groups that make up the universe. In particular, after practicing the practicing path later, he upgraded his yin and yang embryo transformation into a single energy filter to produce golden super energy. From those differences, he found a suitable planet to research and find the best method to help tuolins mature, transform yin and yang embryos to produce energy superparticles and become immortal. Earth was the planet he chose to research how to save tuolins. Before deciding to bring incarnations of tuolins as humans in the human world, he went through 2 stages of research. Those 2 stages are based on his idea of creating an environment opposite to living in paradise. It is a living environment with maximum compression and pressure, and there will be nothing but suffering. Because he thinks that by doing so, the tuolins will reveal all the secrets in their yin and yang embryos, thereby finding a mechanism or method to save them. If the study is successful, it will help him find and confirm the success of bringing the tuolins incarnate as humans. The 2 research phases include 1. Phase 1, research on vegetation and tree systems. To create a system of vegetation and trees, he used his ability to manipulate energy to agglomerate infinitely many simple energy particles to form each species in the vegetation and tree system. To enable them to survive and thrive in the early Earth environment, he created changes by energetic reactions. From there, they can live and develop until now. As he created individual units of trees or vegetation, he brought energy structures with complex intellectual wave codes to rest within them. Thus, in every plant and tree, there is a complex energy structure residing within. It combines simple and complicated matter to form a reaction that interacts and develops. That is similar to that tuolins are born and nourished by rare quartz crystals in heaven. The gem crystals that are simple matter have helped the supermatter that is the yin and yang embryo with the super complex intellectual wave code to mature and become a tuolin baby. The Earth's environment is harsh because there is day and night, heat and cold. That is the maximum compression and pressure in challenging the survival and development of trees and vegetation. This time, the object of his research is the energy structures inside the plants, within the vegetation system, which is complex energy. He needs to know the outcome of the process by which they reacted to the harshness of the environment through their hosts, trees and vegetation. Over a long time, trees and vegetation systems have adapted and grown continuously in harsh weather and climate. In particular, the system of complex energy particle structures residing inside has matured very quickly. They generate many energy particles and become larger and stronger structures. From the results of the first research stage, he found that complex matter structures must live in an environment of maximum pressure and compression when residing in simple matter structures. They will grow up faster than in a pure and peaceful environment. It helped him decide to carry out a second phase of research. 2. Phase 2, research on animals. He decided to increase the compression and pressure at this stage compared to stage 1. That is, he created many species of animals, from underwater to on the ground and in the air, herbivores and carnivores. They will create a variety of information reactions for each species when it comes to survival in extreme weather, climate, and interspecies killing for survival. To create each animal species, he still uses his unique ability to manipulate energy to create diverse animals. It is exciting and magical. He used the smallest simple particles of 5 energy groups to create bodies and give large-scale complex energy particle structures to reside inside each animal's body. The object of research at this stage continues to be complex energy structures. God uses complex energy structures that exist in ancient tree trunks and rocks. He uses complex energy structures of varying degrees of maturity to reside in different types of animals. For complex energy structures that are still small and weak, he will allow them to live in the insect form, which is smaller. For complex energy structures at a more mature level, he will enable them to reside in the bodies of larger animals. Because he used many complex energy structures that differed between yin and yang particles in their yin and yang embryos, this research phase gave him various research samples and resulting evaluations. The results will be very accurate. He creates each animal as follows. When creating each animal, he uses a group of complex energy structures, which he calls the animal soul. He transmitted information to encode their functions and tasks so that they would function according to their functions when they incarnate as animals. Next, he used the smallest simple particles of 5 energy groups in cosmic space to agglomerate and integrate into each complex energy structure. As they clump together, he continues to pass information into them to encode their functions and duties. When he created each species, he would make the complete set of males, females, and their offspring. Some species will include males, females, and eggs. They all have information encoded when created to develop their species according to their functions. Only the first time he created a new species, he used this method. Then, they must undergo a reproductive mechanism to grow the number of species. For example, he would make a complete rooster, mother hen, and eggs to generate chicken species. When he created them, he encoded mission information for them, and then the hen would incubate those eggs to develop chicks. The task between the rooster and the hen is to mate to create new eggs to become chicks. Note that they were all created at the same time, which is similar to how the first humans appeared. When he created each animal species, he would let them exist in a safe place where no other species would know them. As they increase in number, they will be detected by different species to create interactions between species. After a very long period of study and observation, he succeeded brilliantly. The successes during this research phase include toxins, also known as information in the souls of animals, are released. These are animals competing for mates and food with other species. Those are animals that kill other species to survive. Compassion, also known as good information, in the souls of animals is revealed. These are willing to sacrifice to protect their children and herds. Those are animals that only eat grass and vegetation instead of killing other animals to survive. The animals unite to protect their flock from attack and killing by other wild animals. Complex energy structures. Souls inside animals have matured after they have activated compassion or decay rapidly after unleashing toxins over many lifetimes in the form of animals. From the achievements in the above 2 research periods, he realized that the Tulin life form needs a living environment like the habitat of animals. Such an environment will help all Tulins reveal the entire nature of information within their original yin and yang embryos. Also, from the research results, he found 2 directions of transformation of souls in animals, including transformation in sustainability and transformation in the direction of decay. They are transformed in the direction of decomposition when toxins are released, leading to actions that harm other animals. Change is sustainable when compassion is revealed, leading efforts to help and protect other animals. From the results of the above 2 stages of research, he saw the most miraculous method to help Tulins reveal the whole nature of the information within them. Besides, he also has a magical way to help the Tulins force out all the toxins and activate compassion in the yin and yang embryos for sustainable transformation to mature and transform the yin and yang embryos into energy filters in the future energy. Then he decided to build and implement a plan to incarnate as humans for the Tuolins in the earthly environment. That is a plan to help Tuolins understand themselves, thereby understanding other Tuolins, all things in and out of the universe, including the energy of destruction, the object that disintegrates Tuolins. Before bringing the Tuolins to incarnate as humans, He improved the living environment on Earth to be more suitable to help humans survive, but there was nothing but suffering. He eliminated animals dangerous to human survival when the Tulins incarnated as humans. After completing those tasks, he organized a congress to unify the path of practice in human form for the Tulin life form. The congress was held in heaven. At the congress, there were all the participating Tualins. They all listened attentively to Nalas Nalanda's explanation of the practicing path in human form in the human world. At that time, he sat beside a table with a large plate containing a white powder, while other Tulins stood around him. He said, "I have created a habitable environment on a planet where I have placed complex energy structures within simple matter, such as plants and animals. They survive in extreme environments in terms of climate, weather, and life and death. While observing the unfolding of the nature of the information within each yin and yang embryo of complex energy structures, I have found the ideal path to help all Tualins fully reveal their intellectual nature yourself and the path of sustainable transformation. The peaceful and free environment in paradise is not ideal to help you reveal your intellectual nature, so you cannot grow up, confront the destructive energy, and your destruction is inevitable. All of you need to live and study in a different environment, which is the environment where plants, trees, and animals live. You will live in a simple material body and a harsh environment to fully reveal your intellectual nature, thereby learning how to eliminate toxins and activate compassion. If you do that, you will grow up and become immortal." After a while, he said to a Tulin standing beside him, "Bring the venomous snakes here." Then that Tulin brought a large plate of venomous snakes to him. Nalas Nalanda immediately dropped all the small venomous snakes into a plate of white powder. He fell a small and a big snake to the ground. The small snakes in the white dough plate had slithered into that white dough plate. No one could see them above the plate. The big snake slithered into the nearby bushes, and the small snake slithered behind. Then he asked the Tualins, "Has anyone seen those snakes?" Everyone answered him, "Father, we don't see them anymore." He looked at the Tualins and said, "My children, the small snakes hidden deep in the dough plate represent the toxin hidden within yourself and in the other Tualins. It is hidden in compassion, and you don't know it. I call it you not understanding yourself and other Tuilings. The small snake slithering into the bush is the toxin that exists in all things in the universe, and you do not understand them. I call it, you do not understand all things in the universe. The big snake slithered into the bush, and you did not understand it. I call it, you do not understand the energy of destruction. So, you have three things you don't understand. These three things prevent you from growing up. The energy of destruction easily disintegrates you." After reflection, he continued, "To save all of Tualins and this universe, I must use the toxin to activate the poison. That is, to use the toxins of each Tualin to activate the toxins of other Tualins to manifest. It is to use the toxins of all things to activate the toxins of each Tualin to manifest. The most significant poison, the destructive energy, will reveal its true nature. When the toxins are completely released, you will understand yourself and other Tualins, all things, and the energy of destruction. Finally, you must practice eliminating the toxins within and activating compassion. If you want to understand those three secrets, grow up, and be immortal, you must incarnate in human form and live in an environment with nothing but suffering for many human lives in the human world. It's not easy. It was extremely arduous and endured countless sufferings. But as a result, you will become immortal and produce new energy to help the universe become sustainable. Therefore, we need Tulins who vow to become the first incarnation to build humanity. Then, one after another, other Tulins will incarnate as humans to make a more complex and harsh practicing environment." When he finished speaking, the Tulins said in unison, "Father, I would like to be transformed into a human first." "It is wonderful, and I call it the great vow to be a human of the Tulins. That is a great vow because it saves you and all life forms in and outside the universe when you succeed on your path of practice in the human world. Because they saw a bright future ahead, the Tulins became enthusiastic to pioneer incarnating as humans, and other Tulins waited to become humans in the future. He continued, "In the human world, I will create countless situations, countless interaction scenarios to help you unleash your full intellectual nature. Therefore, I will build 4 forms of life that you must live in, through which you can experience suffering and transform your yin and yang embryo. That is the form of the family, the form of society, the form of the nation, and the form of teachers and students. I will encode these 4 forms in the 4 commandments at the gathering of humanity on earth. Prepare yourselves for the journey of human incarnation. First of all, the gathering of humanity. Thus, Congress of the Tulins unified the path of human incarnation of the Tulin that he proposed, including the Tulin living in human form must live in 4 forms in life to create interactions. From those interactions is creating toxin to activate toxin. When the poison is activated, it is the tribulation and suffering that people have to go through. Through suffering in human form, Tulins will understand themselves and other Tulins, all things and the energy of destruction. Then the Tulins can force out toxins and activate kindness to transform their yin and yang embryos. That is why the Tulins have to live in human form and suffer countless tribulations. On the question of why should animals be tamed so that their soul can incarnate as humans, there are 2 reasons. Through their practice, Nalas Nalanda saw how to save the Tulins. All living things, including plants and animals, are born from the smallest energy particles of Nalas Nalanda's yin and yang embryo. So they have equal rights as Tulins. Therefore, when the Tulins incarnate as humans, they must be responsible for taming them so that the energy structure within them can be transformed sustainably. When there is enough quantity and quality in the intellectual wave code system inside the yin and yang embryo, their souls will be upgraded and become Tulings. Then they will continue to reincarnate in human form to become more mature.
When listening to the teacher finished, everyone was happy because they understood the root cause of his teachings in gathering humanity.